What's going on, world? It's your boy Alex Miner, and welcome to the 1000 Miles Podcast. They say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So on this podcast, we talk to business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives about the single steps that they've taken on their journey so that you can learn a lesson from it and hopefully find inspiration for your journey. And today on the podcast, we are exceptionally happy to welcome Miriam Gilmore, resident of the Miami-ish area, South Florida.
Hello there.
And Miriam, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, let them know who you are, what kind of businesses you have or had in the past, and, we'll dive into it.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, thank you, Alex, for having me on your podcast. I'm really excited to be here. For me, entrepreneurship is something I can talk all day about. So I'm loving that we're doing this. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I started my own business, my own business when I was 21 years old. And that was a title insurance business. I know I don't look that much older, but I am. I'm 47. So
No, you definitely don't look 47. Wow.
So that was a long time ago. And so I did that for maybe, 16, 17 years. And then the Great Depression happened, the mortgage crisis in 06, 07, 08, and all those years. And that kind of kicked me out of that world. And I had to find a way to reinvent myself. And since then, I came into the mortgage side of the business and I've launched my own business. But there have been bumps in the road and it's not been easy. And I think we can just elaborate a little bit on that as we go into it. But so I'm also have a podcast, which I'll mention here.
Yes,
Shaken Not Deterred. It's called Shaken Not Deterred. And it's also about entrepreneurship and the struggles of going through that and having a family life and everything else that comes with it. So
awesome. That is so awesome. And okay, let's just talk about the past for a little bit, or the past and the present juxtaposed, because you said you were in the title insurance part of the whole home buying process, and now you're in the mortgage side of the home buying process. What are the differences between being in those parts of your industry?
So when I was, title insurance is, part of a transaction that you always have to have. But it's that thing, it's almost like when I was in that business, it was a little difficult because you can't really market directly to a consumer. You almost have to be business to business for referrals. So that was something that I did. And I did that very early on when I was young in the business. I was working for attorneys who did this. And then I discovered that, hey, if I got licensed, I can do it. And that's kind of how that came about. And I started my business and I was doing that. So that was title insurance. So basically I'm the guy that you'd come to closing with and sign all your documents after your loan officer gave you the loan and the terms and all of that. I would do the closing at the end. So fast forward after the mortgage crisis and everything happened, I had to reinvent myself at that point. I didn't finish my college education at this time. I have 2 kids now, divorced after this whole thing happened. And I had to figure it out quickly how I was going to reinvent myself since my business was no longer in existence. So I went back and I was very familiar with real estate, mortgage, title, all of that. And I was like, well, I've already done the title. I don't want to try and go back into that. I need to reinvent myself from the ground up. So I'm going to try mortgages. And I got licensed, I studied, I learned, and I just put into play the marketing ideas and I'm at a loss. Just the way that I would market when I had the title business in the mortgage business. And it's pretty similar, to be completely honest with you. It's very similar. So I just put that into play and here I am. And I started my own business, my mortgage business now in October of 19. So I'm not even 6 months in, but happy as can be.
Good. And so business has been going pretty well for you?
Yeah. And as everything, I'm not hitting any amazing numbers, setting records, but I'm starting and I'm going little by little and I'm learning and I've had mistakes and triumphs and I've had failures, but it's just you got to keep going. And that's what I'm doing.
All right. And so to just touch back on that transition that you had, the mortgage crisis affected so many people. It was not just the home buying industry, not just realtors, not just title people, not just mortgages. even I do a lot of work in the live events industry, doing corporate events, conferences, that
Mm,
sort of things. There was a big impact on that too, because when
sure.
all those companies got shook up because of that, how all that money ties together, there was it like conferences dried up. Like guys whose calendars would be filled a year out were sitting at home, and so there was some major waves that got felt throughout the whole economy there. But for you personally, um, what were the first indications, I guess, to you that something was going wrong? And then, and how long was it between that and when you had to like close the doors on that business? And then how long did it take you to kind of do that reinvention and figure out, okay, I'm gonna take a shot at the mortgage side of the business?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, it was a very trying time. And it was really tough to make that decision to actually say, give myself a date and say, because, so let me give you a little background of what that looked like at that time. So back then, we were still using fax machines.
Oh
so,
wow.
so there was the fax that would come in every day. And I can't remember the name of this thing. And it was like an email of the imploding, something like that. And it would tell you every company that was closing down, this one, the other, uh, all these companies, and it was every
Wow.
bank that was folding. And I'm like, oh my God, every day you would get this list of
That's got to be so
companies.
depressing.
Yes, it was so depressing. So imagine me going out to try and solicit for business and everybody's dying of hunger because there's no business. So every day I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe these people are closing. So it was a fast reality that set in. And I was like, wow. And at that time, my husband was in a related field. He was a builder. I was in title. Like
Oh
it was like the
wow.
perfect storm, right?
Yeah.
And it just came to the point where our marriage, so that's one aspect, our marriage couldn't, and I guess in a bad marriage, when financial crisis
Right.
hits, it just blows it out of the water, I guess. And for us, that's when we also decided, okay, this is not going to work. So I went through the losing of my business, the loss of my marriage, and financial losses all at once. So yeah, it
Man,
definitely was the perfect storm. And if you kind of weren't grounded, you can lose your mind very easily in this type of scenario,
I
right?
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
So,
during that time I was working like regular jobs. I think what was that, like 2008, 2009?
6, 7, yeah.
Yeah, I was working for oh, where was I? Dude, there were so many bad jobs during those years. Let's not even go there. Suffice it to say, I'm much happier now.
Well, I'm glad
Um,
you are.
but but once that happened, what did you do in the interim to between you know, having your whole world shook up basically,
Yeah.
and then getting to a place where you're like, all right, this is the time for me to relaunch and get back to business.
Yeah. So there were a couple of starts and stops. So when I was in this whole crisis at the time, luckily my family and my brother had a very successful business. And, I'm like, oh, well, I guess let me reach out to him and see, because I really didn't know what to do. And he opened up a position for me, like he made up a position for me. And I mean, by all intents and purposes, it was good money. I was making almost $100,000 in this job that he gave
Okay.
me, and insurance, and it was a good deal and anybody would be happy. And I was happy for 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, okay. But then after I just couldn't deal emotionally with the fact that now I'm working for, first of all, for my brother, which I love him to pieces and I'm so grateful. But I had this thing where I was an entrepreneur. Like, what am
Right.
I doing working for somebody? And I couldn't accept it in my mind. So I worked there for maybe 8 or 9 months. While I was working there, I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't want to work for anybody. I went and I bought a business. I bought a furniture consignment business.
Huh. No.
Never done that in my whole
What
entire life.
prompted that move? That's such a left turn from where you were.
Desperation. And a desire to be on my own. So I'm like, yeah, I love furniture. I love interior design. I love decorating my house. I'm going to buy a furniture business. So I went and I bought this business with I had some savings, and I bought this business. I almost depleted my savings, and I bought this business, and I was able to sustain it for about 3 years.
Okay.
And but it wasn't enough. I was going through a divorce, raising 2 kids by myself. It was like a great business for like a kept woman. It was like great if you just needed money to do your hair and your nails and maybe pay for a couple of things here and there, dinners and stuff, but not to like sustain a family.
Right.
So I was like, while I was in that business, I'm like, okay, I got to figure something else out. This isn't working. And I'm like, let me go into mortgages. I mean, one of my buddies was in mortgages and he had gone back in and he was telling me about it. And he's like, we just discussed it. I'm like, okay, well, I could probably do that. I can do it. And I got licensed. And then that's what launched me into mortgages. But yeah, I did that whole business and it was fun, but it was,
Right.
I just am not into retail.
Yeah, retail is tough. I think people don't understand
Mm,
how on it you have to be to make retail
for
work.
sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, not that I've had a ton of retail positions, but the little bit of experience that I do have and the understanding of just business in general,
Yeah.
retail is a grind. Like
It's
I
hard.
mean, and you really got to keep your book straight and be on your supply chain and just
Yeah.
and I mean, hopefully you're successful enough that you have to have employees, but then there's that whole thing and just,
Hmm.
ugh, ugh,
Yeah.
ugh.
It was a lot.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you've definitely been through some tough times, but you rebounded, and that's
Yes.
kind of like the main takeaway that I hope people get from this episode and from listening to your story is that you can go through these tough times, but if you really stick to your guns and you think fast and you just keep your eye on the prize, that you can manifest a new direction. You can figure out a new set of goals and it can still be plan A, but just be flexible enough that plan A can change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this, and the one thing that I really, really, truly learned, the lesson that I really learned with that business, that store that I just got into out of nowhere, I feel like if I would have given myself time, I felt like I needed, because I've been a business owner and I've done these things, I felt like if I didn't have a business, like I wasn't doing anything.
Mm,
And at that time, I wish I would have had the wisdom to know, if I, instead of putting $80,000 into this business and buying this business for this amount of money, I could have lived off of that $80,000 for a good year, if not more, and
yeah.
said, you know, let me just take this time for myself and figure it out. I don't have to make a decision right now. Let me just sit still for a minute. I jumped into my brother's business. I jumped into this company. Like, I should have just sat still for a little bit and figured things out and made a calmer decision, more thought out. And I didn't give myself that time because I felt like I couldn't, if I just sat, I can't imagine what I would have done for
I
three or
think
four
that's
months.
part of the entrepreneur mindset in general. Is just that you feel like you got to be on. You feel like there's something to do. Like I
Yeah,
must be doing something. If I haven't figured out something that has to be done, then I am lazy. I am
I'm
not doing
lazy.
anything. Like I'm a waste. And
Right.
and and that's dangerous. That's a dangerous place to be, but I think all of us who have that entrepreneurial spirit go through that. Like I
Hmm.
struggle with it myself. I won't say that I could happily work 7 days a week, but I could find
Hmm.
something to do. Like I can tell myself that there's something to do 7 days a week,
Yeah.
and so trying to get out of that mindset and remind myself that you need time to rest, you need time to relax, you need to just give yourself mentally time to recover from the grind. That
Hmm.
that can be really tough.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And I just, it's funny because you hear about, like, and these are like the gurus or whatever, they go on a sabbatical. I'm like, I should have taken a sabbatical.
I wish I
But,
knew what that was like.
yeah.
Although after a week, I'd probably be chomping at the bit.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, what would I have done for 3 or 4 months without doing anything? That would have been, it would driven me crazy. But
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what that was like. I can't see myself being inactive for that long. Like a new hobby would have to be had or something.
yeah, well, I mean, that's what I feel like. Maybe I would have taken that time and really thought about a better business. Like, I went into that store, which was not a great, I mean, I bought a furniture consignment store in the time of the depression, which basically everybody
Mm,
was trying to get rid of their stuff, not buy stuff. So it was
right.
like a dumb decision, but not dumb, but it's just kind of like a,
Wasn't well thought out.
It wasn't
Oh,
well thought out, and it was kind of impulsive, so, and I'm not an impulsive person, but that was a little bit impulsive.
I mean, but sometimes you got to go with your gut, and I mean, you made it through those times. You came out the other side okay, a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and
Yeah.
then you were able to pivot into the next thing. Like I mean, I don't see it as a bad thing. I mean, if nothing else, you learned some valuable lessons from being in that business, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah. It was an
And
expensive lesson, but yeah.
I think some of the best lessons are expensive. I
Yeah.
mean, not that there aren't plenty that you can learn for free, especially with YouTube University in existence,
That's right.
but those life lessons. I mean, I think some of those, the most impactful ones, do tend to have a little bit of money involved.
That's true.
But now you're in this new business. You've got the things seem to be going well, and I'm guessing there's been some growth over these past 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
And so what's the next step? Where is it that you want to go? What's the goal?
Yeah. So, I like to think about myself in a way these days of a multi-passionate creator. Like I like, not just one thing. I'm not, I love the mortgage business. I love real estate. But I see myself in other areas. So I've been trying to kind of bring in my likes and my interests into the business that I'm doing now. Cause I feel like there should be a way that I can kind of weave that in. And so one of the things that really piques my interest is personal growth, helping women through transition, or even entrepreneurs in general, not just women. But I have an alliance to that because after I went through a divorce, that's really tough to go through a divorce. Be the main provider for your children. You know, maintain a family, bring in business, market yourself. It's a lot. And, if you don't, like I said before, if you don't have like some solid ground, it could be, you could lose it.
Yeah, and
And
it just takes a lot of heart. It just takes a
it
lot of heart
does,
and
it's hard,
determination.
sometimes I'm like, why didn't I just go get a job? But it's just not, I
I
can't, like I
can't.
didn't want to do that.
I can't. I
I
can't.
can't.
I've even
Yeah.
filled out I don't know. Maybe I'm unemployable. I've filled out job applications over the years. Just
That's,
when you get those lean months where you're really desperate and you're like, maybe I should just fill out a couple of
what am I
applications,
doing?
and but nothing ever comes of it. So
Yeah.
I guess that's just the universe's way of telling me like, nope, you're on your own, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I quit the job my brother gave me, which was a good job, insurance, good money, perks, all that good stuff. And I left there make less, half. I don't even know how much I was making.
And I don't think some people can, if you're not that entrepreneurial, if you don't have that entrepreneurial bent, I don't think people can understand that,
Yeah.
or not even entrepreneurship to understand that impulse. I think you just have to have a passion for something, and unfortunately, or maybe it's fortunately, because I think your life is a lot less complicated. Uh,
Hmm.
there's a lot. I think there's a large portion of of people who
Hmm.
just have not yet found their thing, their passion, the thing that makes them tick, or even if they have, they've just got this mindset that there's no way that that could sustain them,
Yeah.
and so with that mindset, you don't have that impulse to go out and do the thing, and because the thing is so important, that it's more important than money, it's more important than stability, it's more important than knowing if I just go to this job and dial it in, I'll make x amount of dollars.
Right.
And I think that's, if you don't have that passion or that entrepreneurial spirit, I think that's very difficult for people who are on the other side of the equation to understand.
I agree with you. And it's funny because, and speaking of like that dollar amount, right? Like when you said, I'll get this job and I'll make, I don't know, $75,000 or 80,000, whatever, just any number. And I don't know if this is true for you, but for me, and mind you, when my brother gave me that job, it was a good job. It was I want to say like $90,000 at that time. And I was like, that's it. Mind you, I was like, at that point, I was like broke. I needed the money. And I'm like, but in my mind,
You
I'm
know
like,
you're worth
I can make
more.
300. I think I can make all this money. So I was like, I didn't have $90,000 income
Right.
at that time,
But you
but
know
I'm
you've
like,
got the skills, and you know you've got
yeah,
the energy within you to make that happen.
to make more. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Even like I'm married, I have kids, but I've been a freelancer slash entrepreneur for the last eight 8 to 9 years, and there have been times, especially when you have those ups and downs, where my wife's been like, I
Absolutely.
wish you would get a 9 to 5, and I just give her the look like, really, bro? Like, nobody is gonna pay me what I can make on my own.
Right. I
Like
know. It's
it, or even if they did, what's going to happen is that that job is going to have so many requirements. Even though you feel like I'm always gone or I'm always working now, it's going to be worse,
yeah.
because then I can't say no
Right.
like
Mm-hmm.
that. Because when you got a job, you're basically signing your, and I mean, I don't say this to make anybody feel bad.
Sure.
I
No.
always want to make sure that I preface some of these statements and opinions by saying that if you're the person who is happy having a full-time job of being an employee, that is perfectly okay. Everybody is not built to be an entrepreneur. Everybody is not a hunter who is out here chasing this money, because frankly, there are many times where it sucks. Uh,
Yeah.
but if you have that impulse, or if you have that skill set, you gotta go with it,
Yeah.
because you're never gonna be happy being number two, three, four, whatever it is, other than number one.
Yeah.
And maybe circumstances in your life will change down the line,
Mm-hmm.
but if you got that impulse, follow it, try to make something happen. Because like I was saying, with me, with the skill set that I have, the things that I know how to do, I see it over and over again. People just do not value it in full-time employees.
Yeah.
Um, like I like with all the things that I can do, like the creative stuff, technical skills with video, with audio, with and being able to combine all those things, because it's like there's I think there's more people nowadays who have the combined skill set that I have, but there's still not a ton,
Yeah.
who can do them all, but do them to a great degree. And I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
no master. Like, let's get like I'm jack of all trades and a very high jack of all trades, but there are definitely areas where I could use some tutoring and improvement. But
Mm-hmm.
at the level that I'm at, I see it all the time, job listings where people want somebody who can do all the things that I can do, or they
Sure.
say they want somebody who can do all the things that I can do, but then they're like, you have to have 2 years of experience, which 2 years ain't enough to have all them skills, bro, at least not at a good level. And they say that they want you to be able to basically they want you to do the job of 5 people, and then they
Mm-hmm.
want to offer you, like, I've seen as low as like $12 to $14 an hour. And and most days I'm not, if I'm like freelancing, most days I'm not leaving the house for less than 500.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
and not an hour, I mean a day, but I mean, still, that breaks down to $50 an hour in my world, because
Sure.
we work on 10-hour days most of the time when I'm freelancing, and most of the time it's like 60 or 65. So it's like, for me to see that, like, why would I work for anybody? You don't value me. You don't value what I can do for your business. And I understand that there might be people who don't understand some of these business principles, and don't have that framework where they understand value versus time for money.
Right.
And and that's okay. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So if you're that kid straight out of school and you just want to have a job doing what it is that you want to do, that's fine too. But there are
Yeah.
going to be some of those kids who know the value of what they do, and are like, I know, or they have relationships with people where they've seen the example of, if I go out and I can land a client, or land, a subcontracting gig or a freelance gig through a production company or something, then I'm worth X number of dollars a day. And
Sure.
I only have to work 2 weeks a month to make more than this guy over here who's working 40 hours a week.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And there is such a need for that these days, especially with with video and editing and all of that. Just because so many more business owners and people are doing these things, they need help. Most of these people don't know how to edit video. They don't know how to record their videos, so they
mhm.
absolutely need help. for sure.
Yeah,
So
and I
there's a
don't
need.
understand how they're gonna get people to work for them. And I mean, there's always somebody who just needs an opportunity, and so they're gonna take it, even if it's low
Hmm.
paying and they know it. There's gonna be somebody who's willing to take that money. But I feel bad for them because I know there's better things out there, and maybe that's the step on their journey. Maybe that they're in. Maybe that's the first step for them. So
Right.
nothing against anybody doing that,
Sure.
but
Just take
I'm the
comfort.
kind of person I want everybody to win. I know there's enough work out here for everybody. So, when I meet somebody who might be on that path or a similar path or anything creative, and I know that there's potential for them to be doing bigger and better things, I try to let them know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I have a young daughter. She's 21 years old, going to be 22, and she's in business and marketing and all that. And I just see so much opportunity. I think that there are so much opportunity untapped that, young kids nowadays can actually they can do some freelance work.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not sure if they can, I mean, because of the age and experience, if they can, run a business right out of, college. But there are opportunities for freelance work and for project work and things like that. There's just a lot, I
Oh
think.
yeah, especially freelancing, project work, especially anything pertaining to marketing, social media, just
Yeah.
because there's a level of understanding that I think the younger generation has with some of these tools that those of us who are a little bit older um, do not have,
Hmm.
because we didn't grow up with it.
Sure.
So like everybody thinks TikTok is just for kids, but like I was on LinkedIn the other
Love
day
TikTok.
looking at this lady. I can't recall her name right now, but she's a TikTok influencer, has almost 2 million followers. So now she really knows the platform. But I mean, she's a mother of two. She's not a young kid, but she's
Right.
figured it out. And so
Yeah.
now she offers like TikTok coaching and marketing opportunities and brand collaborations and things like that. And it's like there are people becoming millionaires off of this platform, and people think it's just a fun app for kids, but it's because they're not open-minded and they're not doing the research.
Absolutely. I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm just going to say it. I absolutely love TikTok. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'll be honest, I haven't figured it out yet because I haven't had the time to like
I don't know
I
how to use it. Like these kids that they do these amazing, I don't know, these filters and all the things that they do, these edits. But just to go on there and be silly and dance and sing, it's a blast.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some amusing content on there, and there's a ton of opportunity because I think personally, just from the way it's operating and what I've seen, that there isn't enough content for the TikTok pipeline, which is why
Yeah,
there's such a big opportunity and why you hear about people going viral overnight and blowing up and suddenly having hundreds of thousands of followers is because there's tons of users like yourself. You say you like being on there and seeing the content that people are creating, but everybody who's a user ain't creating content. And
that's
so,
true.
and especially because it's a newer platform, it's in that stage where there's more demand than there is supply. And so, for the people who are getting in early and really learning the ins and outs and the mechanics, that's where the opportunity lies. And I
Absolutely.
mean, it's
Absolutely.
crazy. Like, I hear stories about, there's genuine TikTok stars with agency representation and
I know.
like the fact that people on TikTok have agents. Like how
Yeah,
mind blowing is that? Like, and
I
most
know.
people don't know. Most
I don't
people
know if you're
have
familiar
no
with that
idea.
young girl Charlie, that she does all the dances. This young girl,
I
she must
think
be
I just got hip to her because, well, I don't know if I want to go there.
she's 15. She did something this weekend with the NBA. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" And she's
Well,
15.
the flip side to that is that dance she was teaching the NBA was actually created by a 14-year-old black girl who wasn't getting no
I
credit,
saw that.
and
I
then
saw
Twitter,
that.
then Black Twitter went and raised hell about it, and next thing you know, they're in a video together doing the
I saw
the
that.
doing the black
The
girl's
Renegade. Is it
original
the Renegade?
version. Yeah, doing her original version of the dance because Charlie had kind of like took some of the flavor out of it.
Ah, I didn't know that she was taking credit for it.
I don't
But yeah,
know if, well, to and not to rag on Charlie because I mean, like you said, she's 15 and she got this opportunity from blowing up on TikTok. She had the audience,
yeah,
so and just being 15, you might not have that presence of mind because she's following the trend. She saw something that was cool. She did
Right.
her version of it. It blew up for her. That's all well and good, but
Right.
you need to give credit to the creators,
Sure, of
but
course.
also maybe she didn't even know.
Right.
Maybe it
Yeah,
was just
I don't
something
know,
that she
maybe.
saw on TikTok or wherever, and it was popular, and she was like, "Well, I'm gonna do my version while it's still hot." And because she
Yeah.
already had that audience, it blew up. And but now that girl is getting that the original creator is getting some shine. She
Good
got
for her.
featured in a video with this girl Charlie and another TikTok influencer.
Right.
So like her star is
Yeah.
starting to rise a little bit, and hopefully
Good.
she'll
That's so
get some of
cool.
those opportunities. And I mean, the fact that these kids are influencing people, like just think about this. Like the fact that it's two young girls doing something that has the NBA paying attention.
I
Like
know.
how amazing is that?
I thought
You know
that
what I'm
was weird.
saying?
I'm like, why are they
Like
doing something
20
with the
years ago,
NBA?
20 years ago that was not possible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
It is. It
You know?
really is. It's pretty crazy, but it's cool. I mean, I'm thinking it's really like amazing, like that this app that came out of nowhere and people are just like loving it.
Yeah, and like the smart people are getting in on the ground floor. Like I really got to take some time to figure it out
Yeah.
because I know. Well, I'll be honest. Like video marketing, that's my thing, but I'm better at it for my clients than I am for myself
I get it. I get it.
because I'm a small shop, and so that's where most of my energy goes into
Sure.
fulfilling client requests.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better. The podcast is one thing I'm doing to be better, just to make sure that I'm consistently creating content for myself and hopefully growing an audience in the process. But yeah, like I mean, content creation can be hard. It's not easy. It's another grind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I struggle with it. That's one of the things I struggle. I'm a, solopreneur. I do everything. From doing my marketing, the podcast, taking client applications, visiting realtors to get business from realtors, going to events, live events, and all of this and putting content. It's really hard. I know at some point I might have to hire somebody, or I definitely would want to hire somebody, but I don't even know which one to hire first, right? Do you hire a marketing assistant or do you hire a loan assistant? Like which one?
Mm, well, that's where you have to sit down and you really have to look at the needs of your business
Hmm.
and figure out what are the activities that give you the highest return
Right.
and which of those activities that give you the highest return are the things that only you can do and what are
Hmm.
the things that you can hand off with a little bit of training.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably a loan assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean like that I know that's easier said than done because if like I should be taking my own advice and I'm not. So,
We all have advice for other people, and then it's difficult to take it ourselves. I know.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Oh man. But just with the whole TikTok and marketing and social media thing coming up, what are some of and the fact that marketing is kind of my jam. What are some of the marketing activities that are most beneficial to you and your business?
well, I'll tell you what, something that I saw a little bit of traction with was doing videos on LinkedIn. I had a couple of posts and a couple of videos that did very well, in my opinion. I had like 5,000 views on one of my videos, and that was my
Awesome.
first. Yeah, that was a video that I had just posted that I was going. I was self-employed again, and I just like recorded in my daughter's bedroom on her bed on a laptop, and I was wearing like a t-shirt. It was like the most raw video, and I just talked about how excited I was and that I was doing this, and I posted it, and I got a whole bunch of views, and people immediately. I had a realtor who called me and wanted to book a meeting with me.
That's
I got invited.
amazing.
Yeah, I got invited to events, and I was like crazy, and it was really only like 5,000 views, right? So I did a couple more after that, and those videos didn't do as well as that one.
Hmm.
But then, like everything,
That's pretty normal.
yeah. And then, like everything, I kind of lost my inspiration and I got busy doing something else. But I do know that that works. And putting video out on LinkedIn was really good. I got better responses on LinkedIn than I did on Instagram, YouTube, on any other platform.
Oh yeah,
So,
you will. And So like now you're really diving into my wheelhouse. Um, so just for the listeners, just so that just to give you a framework, if I haven't really said it before, I build myself as a video marketing strategist, which means yes, I can make you a pretty video, but that's not all I do. So I like to work with my clients to actually create video assets that they can implement into their businesses that will do work for them. Now, whether that's internal training videos, or maybe that's a commercial, or maybe that's just consistent content for their social medias, it really depends on the needs of the business. But there's a whole bunch of things that video can do for a business if it's gone into with the proper mindset, with the proper plan, and with the proper targeting,
Hmm.
which is why I'm big on like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and all
Hmm.
that stuff. But to give you that, but to jump from that into what happened with you and LinkedIn and the fact that you're getting better responses on that than with those other platforms, it's kind of because of the same thing with TikTok. It's the maturity of the platform. Now, LinkedIn has been around for a good minute, but the content train on LinkedIn only started rolling out of the station in the past few years.
Hmm.
I think video got added to LinkedIn about 2 years ago, the ability for users to upload video. And so
Yeah.
on that front, it's still a fairly new platform. And some of the people who got in on the ground floor of that are some of the people who are considered the leaders and biggest creators on LinkedIn. People like Quentin Allums, what's his name, Richard Moore, people
Yeah.
like that. Those, so they're like looked at the top guys, but it's because they got in first.
Sure.
Um,
Hmm.
Now, when it comes to the algorithm on LinkedIn, what is happening is that it's not as restrictive as Facebook and Instagram are. And that goes back to what I was saying about TikTok, where there's more demand on TikTok than there is content to fill the demand, because people
Right.
are still looking at LinkedIn like it's a resume place
Right.
or just a place for recruitment. Everybody is not creating content. So the people that are creating content, they're feeding all the people who are dying of thirst, saying, "Give me something to look at during my work hours or
Yeah.
even on your off hours," because people can post content around the clock on LinkedIn and
Sure.
get response because LinkedIn is a platform that's truly worldwide.
Hmm.
Like one of the clients that I work with, a lady named Lorena Acosta, one of her best LinkedIn buddies is a guy in Australia who's killing it right now,
Oh, wow.
and that guy has done collaboration videos with people around the world, like him, David Breyer, and some other people. They got together and did this massive LinkedIn rap video like around Christmas. It was hilarious. It was
Oh, wow. I didn't
hilarious.
see that. I didn't catch it.
Yeah, and like David Breyer's video guy edited it all together, but it was
Nice.
funny. It's funny, it's really funny.
That's nice.
But that's why you can get that traction on LinkedIn, because there's not enough content for the platform. Now the content is increasing because everybody's saying now you should be
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. And so eventually LinkedIn and TikTok, they're going to become the Facebook and the Instagram, because that's what happens with social media.
Right.
When a new platform comes along, everybody who gets in on the ground floor of a successful platform blows up because they were there first. So
Sure.
when there's not enough content to fill the demand, everybody's seeing them, and so they get that notoriety. But then as
Yeah.
the platform matures and more people are funneling content into it, which is just a content management platform at the end of the day, as more people are feeding the beast ain't so hungry. And
Yeah.
so it starts getting more selective. It's like your dog. If you overfeed your dog, he's going to get picky. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And so that's what happened with Facebook and Instagram. They've been well fed for several years now. They're
Sure.
picky, and they're all about the client experience or the user experience. So what they do is they tend to filter out business related content, because most people are on there for entertainment, which is why you have the ad platforms, which can be so effective for people, because then you're pushing through the algorithm. The algorithm is no longer holding you back, and you're
Mhm.
able to target the types of people that you really want your message to be in front of anyway, instead of just doing the old spray and pray. Although
Right.
if you're cultivating your audience in the right way, you're going to be attracting the type of people that you would want to target anyway. So there's value in organic growth as well as paid media. But
Sure.
but that's why right now LinkedIn and TikTok are a place where easy. It's much easier to gain traction. I won't say it's easy because it still takes work,
Sure.
but like you had that video that got 5,000 views. Your first time out the gate, where that would not have happened on Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
I had a post a couple weeks ago that I put up, which was I wrote this long post based around a quote that I saw over that weekend that really made me have some thoughts, and it resonated with people. It's almost 8,000 views, and
Wow. Yeah.
that's pretty. And that post, and then one other video that I did where it's kind of embarrassing now that I think about it. It was me acting like a fool in my backyard dancing because somebody challenged me to a dance battle on LinkedIn, and I said yes. Um, Shout out to Andrew Helms, but
Oh. Oh,
but
I love Andrew.
yeah, he's the homie. He's
He's
dope.
very
Like
cool.
he's.
I actually met him here, yeah, at the
Oh,
one
you went to that. You went to that event. You know they're
the
having.
Miami in
Yeah, they're having another one
April.
next month. I think. Is it next month? I think it's next month. They said they're having another one of those. It's
In
like it,
April, yeah, in
yeah,
Miami.
yeah. It just got announced. I'm gonna try to be at that one.
Oh, that'd be
So
great.
I hope I can make it. I really wanted to go to the one. Andrew invited me to that one, but I wasn't able to make it.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So you did a dance that Andrew challenged you to.
yeah, and that got like 8,000 views and a ton of shares, and I'm sitting there like, really, bro? Like this works on LinkedIn? Okay. But
Okay.
unfortunately, I didn't follow it up. Like if I had followed that, like, I got so many requests and things after that. Like if you got to be ready when that moment
Yeah.
happens. You got to be ready to hop on it, because if I had ridden that wave, if I had been posting content consistently, who knows where my LinkedIn following would be right
Sure.
now.
Sure. Absolutely. That makes sense. I know. I know.
Yeah. And to anybody who's listening, who's wondering about getting on LinkedIn and creating content, doing one of those introduction, this is my first LinkedIn videos. That's a very big thing. That's an easy way to start getting traction and getting a little bit of attention when you decide to start dropping content on the platform. Those videos are very popular because people. It's another thing. Most people are good people and they want to see people win. So when they
Yeah.
know that you're new on the platform, you're spreading your wings, you're an eager beaver and trying to dive in and be part of the community, they love that because they know the value of LinkedIn and they want you to succeed. Um, there's also people that are doing like these networking posts where they're encouraging people to, comment and connect, and those get very big too. I think it was Shanae Morel who started that trend.
Yeah. With I forgot the guy with the blonde hair. I forgot his name. That he does. I guess he does a lot of stuff with her. They collaborate. I don't know if
Mm,
they work together, but he posts a lot of that stuff, and she does too. Yeah, for those.
yeah.
I don't know if that works though. I was wondering if people actually connect with you through that.
From what I'm seeing, it does. A few people are getting salty that those posts are becoming so common now, because it
Mhm.
used to be kind of their thing, but
Yeah.
now it's kind of becoming one of those, everybody's hopping on the wave and trying to do that because it's kind of like the hack to make a bunch of connections re-
Right.
real quick. So I think those are going to start dropping in popularity and effectiveness, but for right now they're working and people are still
Mm.
doing those requests and connect, because people want to grow. They know that
Sure.
the more connections you have, the more potential audience you have,
Sure.
and so for people who are trying to grow an audience, it's not a bad thing to do,
Hmm.
especially if some of those people you end up finding and connecting with are people who can be collaborators or customers. So
Yeah.
there's really no downside to it.
Right.
Like why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I just didn't know if it worked, if people actually go and follow and do all that stuff.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I
they
mean,
they
like
do.
800 comments on these things. I'm like,
Yeah,
wow,
I mean
that's a lot.
you can't catch up with everybody, but
Yeah.
I mean you might get a good 10, 20
Yeah. That's
off of
enough.
it, maybe 30, like who knows. and
Yeah.
and anybody, and also anybody who's wants to dive into LinkedIn, just do it. Start going in, making connection requests. Like, what's the worst people can say is no, that they don't want to
Sure.
connect with you, and you keep
Hmm.
it moving because
Right.
somebody's gonna say yes.
For sure. Lots of people will say yes.
Yeah, I mean, every people want
Absolutely.
more connections.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But now to get me down off my soapbox, because I've done a lot of talking in the past few minutes, and this is really supposed to be about you. Um, what is 2020 looking like for you? Like now that we're in February, that today is February 19th, so
Hmm.
not quite the end of the first 2 months, but I mean a month and a half. I think that's a a good time to kind of reflect and see what kind of momentum you may have started generating. Where do you think things are going for you?
Yeah, so I'm trying some new things out. I've never done the Facebook ads or anything like that. So I'm working with a lead company now who it's not like how can I explain it? It's a lead company, but basically it helps you get leads not only off of Facebook ads and Google ads, but also by optimizing your website
Okay.
and my Instagram or LinkedIn and all of those areas and putting in those links for funnels and all that good stuff to come in. So I'm trying that. I've never done that. I've always really been interested in that technology and everything, but I just never I needed somebody to help me with it.
Hmm.
So this
It's a
company,
lot.
they're aligned with the association that I'm associated with, and I think that that will help me grow my business a little further. Um, I I foresee that the business will go well. It's a great time for the mortgage business. However, also have other expectations of myself. I want to grow my podcast. Um, my listeners and expand a little bit more on that. I want to be able to maybe bring some live events, entrepreneurial events, and
Ooh,
that
you
type
better
of
keep me on
thing.
speed dial.
Yeah, I just like I said, I love the mortgage business. It's a great business to make money, but then you get to it. I'm 47, like I said, and at this stage in my life, and after certain things that I've talked about that I've been through, divorce, financial mayhem, bankruptcy, everything that I've gone to rebuild myself back up to where I am today, kind of teaches you that it's not all about the money.
Hmm.
It's the journey. And if I can bring anything back and help anybody from my experiences, then that's something that I would love to do. And I'm in a place where, even though, yes, of course I want to make money, everybody wants to make money, but I also want to be fulfilled, and do something that matters to me and that's important to me. And it's not about, and I keep saying not about the money because it's more about the connection with people and helping other people and connecting and really having a connection and an appreciation with people that I deal with, and that's that, and to grow that circle of people that are around because they want to learn and they want to improve themselves as well. So that's another thing that I'm really, excited about, and kind of I just need to develop it because I don't know exactly what that'll look like, but I know it's in my mind and I think about it all the time and how I move forward with that and bring that to reality.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of value in trying to reach out and educate others, um, not just from a financial standpoint, but also from a personal development standpoint. I mean, I think you hear a lot of people say things like, you know, you never really master your art until you have to teach it.
Oh yeah, that's true. A hundred
So
percent.
So, I mean, for what you do, for anything that anybody is doing, I think once you start to teach what you know, that's when you really figure out what you actually do know.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing that for myself lately, because I think a lot of us, we sell ourselves short.
Hmm.
We're not aware of how much knowledge we've accumulated. And I
Yeah.
think it's good for us to reach out and try to, level somebody up, not just for ego purposes, but just to be able to take a good look at you and your skills and capabilities, because I've recently started doing some speaking engagements, and not I wouldn't ever I wouldn't be comfortable calling myself a mentor of any type, but just, having some of those conversations with people that I know don't have as much experience as me, or haven't been through all the things that I have. It's starting to show me like, wow, I know more than I thought I did.
I know that that's such a revelation, right, for yourself. And I feel that too. Like there's times that I'm like, people have told me, well, maybe you should, have a course or write. But and like you said, we don't give ourselves like the kudos. I'm like, well, what would I write about? What would I teach? I don't even know what I would teach when I know that I have life experiences, things that I've been through, things that I can, like I said before, I went through a financial disarray. I had to file a bankruptcy, I had to come out of a bankruptcy, rebuild credit, all of those things. That's just one of them. A divorce, starting a business. I've started several businesses. So I do have some experience. I
Ton
guess
of
you just have to know how
experience.
to funnel it and kind of like bring it to the world somehow.
Yeah, and I mean that's a big roadblock for people too. Is just not knowing how to take what they have and make something out of it.
Yeah,
But I mean, to that end, there are tons of YouTube videos and resources and courses and things
absolutely.
out there that are teaching folks how to do exactly that. Because I mean, knowledge is power.
Yeah,
Information is power, and there's a ton of it that's out here for free that you can go get. Basically, anything that you want to do, you can go learn how to do for free.
yeah,
There's a way, whether that's YouTube University, whether that's just Googling day and night
yeah.
until you find it, or whether that's forming a relationship with somebody who can walk you through it. There is a way,
Mhm.
there's a how to get that info for free, unless you're doing something where you need to be like officially licensed or something. Then
Yeah,
then
yeah,
then
yeah.
you got to
Absolutely.
swallow it and take some courses or something.
How do I
But
do heart surgery? Google.
I am sure there's a video out there. I am sure. Um, but yeah, on that note, I think we're coming close to the end of the podcast, and so what I like to ask everybody, what through all the experiences that you've been through, and we've established that you've been through quite a bit and come back strong, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you have learned in all that time through the accumulation of all of that experience? What is the one thing that like stands out, or the one piece of advice that you got that is stuck with you to this day?
I, you know, I will go back to what I said before, which is pause. Sometimes, we get so antsy to make a decision and to jump into the next thing that, and you don't need to take 3 months like I had mentioned before, but take some time before making a decision, especially one of those expensive ones, and really thinking that through. And I'll tell you what, that same theory has worked for me in parenting, right?
Mm.
I have teenagers. Well, they're a little older now, but when they were going through their teenage, when they would come up to me and they'd tell me, like one of my daughters is like, "So, mom, we came home from this party, and so, who I know well, and I know her mother well, was passed out drunk, and she drank this and drank that, and my of course my initial
I need to tell
reaction would
they
have been like,
mama.
"Oh my god." And that's what I wanted to do, and that's probably what
Right.
I was doing on the inside, but it taught me to just be like, "Really?" And just kind of let them say like, be non-reactional,
Mm-hmm. I
and
need to
then
learn
just
that
allow
skill.
that to sit in, and then think about how I want to react to it, because if I react the way I would want to react, then she's never going to say anything to me again.
Yeah.
So it's pause, wait, take a minute, because sometimes, when you think about things a little longer than just immediate, make a quick reaction, you really think it through and you're able to see it in a different light. And I think pausing and taking some time, especially when you're going through turmoil and you're going through rough times, you don't realize how emotional that is. And entrepreneurship, most of my problem, a lot of my problems were financial, entrepreneurial, and figuring my career out. What was I going to do? And had I taken a little bit, I guess it got me to the right places, the decisions I made. But I think if I would have waited a little bit and taken a little bit more time to make these decisions, they would have been a little bit more calculated, and I would have saved a little bit more money that would have allowed me to do maybe other things. So I would just say, like, be mindful of taking time to make important decisions.
Mm.
That's what I would say.
Words of wisdom right there.
Hmm.
And so, as we wrap this up and wind down, what is, I mean, that was a great lesson right there. But if there's just one more thing that you want to say to everybody, just, one last nugget of wisdom that you would want to leave them with, what would that be?
I would say, if you have, I know a lot of people right now in business and online you feel a little bit intimidated because everybody's putting out videos and content. And I have people who have actually reached out to me because they want to talk to me about how to put video out. And I don't think it's about the technicality. I think it's about, like, getting past what's in your head, that you're scared to be judged, because we're all scared to be
Oh,
judged
yeah.
and nobody wants to look stupid online or whatever. And I would say to just put that behind you and say whatever it is that you want to say, because somebody needs to hear it. I don't know who, but somebody
Yes.
needs to hear
Yes.
it.
See, you are that's exactly what I be telling people. Thank you. Thank you. It's not just me. It's not just Gary V. Like, see, people need to hear what you have to say. And yo, that's a big fear right there. Like I've had to deal with it, and I'm sure you had to deal with it, and
Hmm.
everybody out there. There's always that initial fear when it's
Yeah,
time to get in front of the
absolutely.
camera. I mean, I've
And people
seen,
will say things to you, by the way. People will be like, "Oh my God, you make so many videos. You're always online. You're always posting."
but that's good. That's good. That's what you're supposed to do. That's that omnipresence that you're trying to attain.
Right, right,
So I mean, the fact that people say you're everywhere, yeah, more power to you. Keep doing it.
right.
Do more.
Yeah,
Make it so they can't ignore you.
exactly.
But I want to say thank you so much for being part of the podcast, Miriam. This has been an awesome conversation, and I think there's a ton of things that you said that people could walk away from this to implement into their lives or into their journey. There's just like a ton of great things that you said, and yeah, it's been a real joy.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. I'm really, really happy to have been invited and to be on here with you. I think it couldn't have gone better. I'm really happy that we did this. And I would like to have you on my podcast too.
I'm there. Tell me date and time. Sign me up. As
We
you can
will.
tell, I like to talk. Uh,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was awesome. I'm all excited about it and I can't wait to post about it.
I love hearing that. So let's spread the word, scream from the
Absolutely.
mountaintops,
Absolutely.
online and in real life.
Yes.
But that's gonna bring us to the end of the 1,000 Miles podcast. They say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. When are you gonna take yours?